Ooh, here I go again. Okay, the camera is back. I just ended it and came right back. I'll leave this in the description box. I don't know if I'll make this unlisted. Probably not. I'll probably just leave them all up, and then I'll just put it in the description box. But anyway, in the month of May, the sun and the moon were touching. The corner of the sun was touching the corner of the moon, and that's when Sparkles emoji was talking about meeting up, and that's when I was comfortable. He had like talked about meeting up before, but I'm like, I ain't trying to have no stranger over to my apartment. I ain't trying to have nobody trying to make no moves on me. And it's like, what if he's like, hey, like I need to use the bathroom? I'm like, well, you're gonna have to hold it until you get home, because what's starting with you using the restroom in my apartment might turn into you trying to make a move on me, and I ain't about that life. But anyway, so we met up in May, and when I casted out 2019, that was like the sun card was touching the moon card, the corners of it, and the sun was like the background of the overall energy. So, um, and we met again. I didn't even have Wi-Fi, or I only had Wi-Fi. I didn't have phone service. I didn't end up getting phone service until like later in the month when I started working, because I was like, if I get a call for work, then I'm gonna have to answer it. So, um, I really wish I had the picture. Maybe I'll keep looking as I talk. And so I know it's in here somewhere. I wish there was like an airdropped photos, like photos that I've received. But anyway, so video selfies, life photos, portraits, panorama slow first, screenshots, screen recordings, animated. They got animated now? What? Imports. Oh, imports. Oh, it's empty. It's empty. So we met up. I didn't have Wi-Fi. We agreed to meet in this one place, and people were taking their graduation photos by this fountain. And I'm like, I'm gonna sit over here anyway because this is public property, and I can sit wherever I want to. Shoot, don't nobody own this, and they can like just take pictures around me. And so I got up and I walked towards closer to one of the buildings to jump on the Wi-Fi to be like, hey, where you at? Like, I'm out here. And I saw him just sitting there, or he saw me, and he was like, Patrick? I was like, oh, hey. And like, we met with the hug, and it was one of the best hugs I've had in my life. He's a really, 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 really good hugger. He's really, 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 he gives really good hugs. And hugs are drugs for me. I love hugs. I'm a Taurus. Okay, I got Taurus moon. I like physical touch. I don't like it from like strangers, and I didn't really let people know that I like it, but he opened with the hug, and it was a really good hug, y'all. And it just like melted away any of the little bit of anxiety I would have had. Conversation came pretty naturally. Dude is like weird, but I loved it. Um, and that was that. That was May. We started to get closer. It was like July. It was like early July when things started to. Oh, here's a picture of Chaco's. The one thing I don't necessarily care about fashion or have any strong opinions, but when it comes to Chaco's, these are the one things that I cannot stand. Chacos don't look good on anybody, nobody. They look good on literally nobody. But so many people are into the Chacos, and I don't understand it. I'd rather wear Crocs, and I actually don't hate Crocs, but for some reason I can't get down with the Chacos. I can't. Like, here's a picture of somebody feet in some Chacos. Like, it don't look good. It's not a good look. It's just not. Um, and yeah, everything was pretty natural, and he was like really interesting and fairly open. Oof, girl, why did I? Why do I still have this picture in my? Yeah. And so it's because of that that I started to get over a lot of my relationship anxiety. And he's not the person that I'm going to end up with. Um, oh, here's a picture of me and some friends on campus. I was technically they were my not my employees, but I was like their boss. And this like we went out one day and took some pictures. So on campus, there's like this solar system. If you can see the sun back here, like there's this model solar system out there. And we took a whole bunch of pictures all over the place. That was a good day. That was a fun day. And then somebody was like, "Oh, you should have told us that you were going out. I would have went with you." There's this one picture. Let me see if I can find it. It's this picture right here. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't run for nearly anything. Oh, my friend took this picture, so I took a snapshot on Snapchat. Um, can y'all see? I don't run for anything, but I used to watch America's Next Top Model back in the day, and Tyra was like showing how they like do these shots, and basically you just like step out and you go back and you just keep stepping out, and that's what we did, and it makes it look like you're actually moving. Oh my gosh! Here's this girl. Her name is Chanel. I watched Big Brother UK. I loved her. Is this a video? Champagne out of a teacup. Like, yes, my aesthetics. Let's go. Hold on, wait. Low key, if I ever get my life together, this is gonna be me with my hair done and me all dressed up and drinking champagne out of a teacup. Like, yes, I love her. And then this is the dude. You know I'm not one for stereotyping, but look at this face. It just looks like, I'll show you the most. Like, look at that. I'm just like, look evil. You know I'm not one for stereotyping, but look at this. I was like, wait, what am I about to say? It just looks evil. Like, yeah, he was a dude that I didn't too much like. I was like, you can just see it on his face. Something about him is just, I don't know. What is this? Is this a meme? This might be the only meme I have on my phone. It says, when people are arguing about who farted, but you're the one who but you're the one who farted. I'm pretty sure like that's literally the only meme I have on my phone. I don't really like memes. I don't find a lot of them to be extremely funny, and they get played out really, really, really quickly, and people don't let them die. And then I'm just like, this isn't funny to me anymore. But I have to continue suffering and watching this. Okay, so yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. Oh man, I don't think I'm gonna find it. But anyway, so he's not the person, and we still have like a pretty good relationship, and I still love talking to him. But we're not gonna be like anything, and but I do like he's the person who made me comfortable with opening up even more to the prospects of someone else. And it's interesting that when our relationship started to turn back when he like let me down, he was like, Patrick, like, let's just be friends. I said, okay. Like, I'm not, like I say it all the time, but I'm not really the type of person to be like, oh, well, I can't just be friends with you. Like, because I don't expect for anyone to just reciprocate the feelings that I have. And I feel like it's kind of sort of, or at least in my mind, it would be me feeling a little bit like entitled to somebody to like kind of sort of demand otherwise. Ooh, I said I wasn't going to clear my throat, but there's a cough. And so we remained friends. But at the same point, at the same time that that was kind of sort of falling apart, I met somebody else. Um, and honestly, if I hadn't been through, if 2019, if October 2018, if the darkest night didn't happen for me, I never would have been so intent on changing everything that I knew needed to be changed within myself. And a lot of it, honestly, was less changing and more accepting. I just had to accept that life was what it was. And I had to like move on and move forward and not allow that to hold me back anymore. And so if all that I did in 2019, like if that didn't happen, I would not have been in a position to be who I am right now and where I am right now. I wouldn't have been open. I wouldn't have been vulnerable. I would have been less patient. I wouldn't be in a position to like, because it's like I can be understanding and compassionate and stuff. But at the same time, like after a certain point, I just cut people off and I move on and I don't look back. And that's something that it took a while for me to like really come out of. And I think a lot of that was still tied to, not directly maybe, but in some ways like those fears of abandonment and other things. Um, but yeah, I can't remember how I got there from all the way out here, but we're just gonna move on. Things are happening the way that they're happening. It's like the potato is getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter because you're supposed to drop it. And some people will like third degree burn their whole body holding on to things that they need to let go of. And like that's what judgment and Kali is here for. It's like you need to drop the potato and then you need to get to the root of this issue and do that healing. Because if you don't, more and more demons are just going to spawn from the same situation. Right. And it's like we need to, it's like choose our battles wisely. With that Nine of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles, that's like choosing your battles. Okay, let's see what's coming up next. So, bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Cups, the Gorgon. Now, the Gorgons are interesting because they were actually beautiful women who were assaulted. And the solution was to turn them into monsters so that men would not take advantage of their bodies. And I think like Medusa, like other people were saying that Medusa was prettier than one of the goddesses. Like Medusa wasn't even saying it herself. And one of the goddesses got mad and turned her into a monster. But also at the same time, you know, she was no longer subjected to the male gaze. So I don't think she minded too much, you know, until Perseus came along and cut her head off. Sorry. So we have the sun at the bottom. If you can see it, we got the sun at the bottom with the Queen of Cups sort of coming out. We have 3 energy oracle cards and only 2 of the tarot. So, oh, this is interesting. We have the King of Swords Viking and the Page of Swords Headless Horseman. It's interesting because here's the Headless Horseman and we just saw the pumpkin head. Now his head has adopted a new body, but his body has not adopted a new head. And that was another thing about the pumpkin, was that it's the pumpkin head is not grounded. It's not grounded to anything. I don't know why these coughs are starting to roll in. Excuse me? And so, yeah, that's why I was like, I don't think I finished before I went on a whole ramble about my own life. But I mean, my own journey has been, it's so successive. It's a progression. It's going from one thing to the next. And it operates more smoothly when I remember where I've already been and what I've already learned. I don't put myself in a position to have to learn it again, which is lovely. And also, it was like maybe having one's head in the clouds a little bit. But it's like it's this space where the hypothesis and the theory doesn't match real life. But here's the body, Page of Swords, with the King of Swords, Viking. This is an interesting energy because here's that Knight of Swords with no head, no brain, not really thinking for himself, following default programming, right? It's like the body's sort of natural responses. And then there's the King of Swords, which is a Viking. Vikings are pillagers and plunderers. They take from other people. And so here we are moving with this incomplete knowledge, no head, no heart, just that id, carnal desire. It's a very Knight of Wands type energy, but we think we have some truth in it. That's why it's the Knight of Swords. Or we think that like it logically makes sense to us. But it's like it makes sense to you because you're not using your head. It makes sense to you because it satisfies whatever base need that you have. And you don't need to think any more critically. There's no incentive to. You get what you want out of the situation. Why would you question it? And then here we get the Viking and the King of Swords who establishes his throne on taking from other people. Right? They say that the Vikings discovered the Americas before Columbus did. And the Vikings didn't do to America what Columbus did. But, you know, Columbus did what Columbus did. No head, no heart. That's why the Queen of Wands is all the way over here. And without any head, or without a head or a heart, it's like there's nothing to root that more divine sort of guidance. There's nothing to root those divine revelations. Because again, it's like what the divine will have you do, it may speak directly against what it is that you want to do. It may grow you, it may be uncomfortable, it may not make sense, it may not be immediate. And so, again, this is us taking instead of us sort of creating for ourselves. Now, the cards that came out, and this is stuff that we need to release, all tied up. All tied up. It's been the dominant programming on the planet, honestly. Honestly. And then we have, who is this? Metatron. Yep, sixth chakra archangel Metatron. I feel like because we were all tied up, it's like our third eyes were blocked to the truth of the situation. Right? No head, no heart. It's like there was no incentive. It was actually incentivized to not see the truth. And it almost feels like one of those, there was this episode of one show where they were looking for the truth of something and they discovered the truth and they're like, this is terrible. I can't believe this is happening. Like, we have to stop this. And then the government, more or less, the person who ruled that vessel, the captain of the ship, captured them and told them, this is the truth that you've already discovered. You already knew that this was happening. And they were like, no, we didn't. Why would we do that? We would never consent to that. And then they showed them the footage of them reaching that spot before, reaching that same realization before. And they chose to have this like mind worm or something, erase their memories. Right. And it almost carries the same feeling. It's like, these are very, very dark truths, but no one is really surprised. Or not, I don't want to say no one. I feel like a lot of people aren't as surprised as they would feel. But to have it come up in a way that is so the sun, so in your face, with the woman holding a heart behind the sun, she want to keep popping out. I'll let you. It's like the whole world sees it now. There's no hiding from it. It's so plain. It's clear as day. Plain as day. There's no hiding from this. And it's like this outrage that you would initially feel is like not betrayed by it, but it's like, again, like these are things that anyone with eyes would have seen. And this is something that everyone knows, regardless of if they care to admit it or not. And it's like you can't claim ignorance to a situation, but at the same time know that you're better off in the place that you're in. You know that you wouldn't spend a day on the other side. You know that you wouldn't give your life up on the other side. So obviously there's something there that you don't want. There's some kind of disparity there. If there is such a hesitation or such a knowing that you know that the side that you're on is better than the other. You know that your grass is greener because your grass gets the water. Your grass gets it gets manicured, it gets taken care of. You move the other person's plot of land to the desert. And you want to say that everyone has the same opportunity to green grass, and they do through, more metaphysical ways, but we ain't talking about the metaphysical right now. We're talking about the physical and what's going on down here, and how when you're sort of on the victor side, or I mean, this is anybody, this is everybody, this is all of us in one capacity or another. When we're benefiting, we don't necessarily like there's no incentive for us to care about what's happening to other people. There's no reason to. And a lot of times we kind of sort of look at things as like, oh, well, I can't do anything about this anyway, so I'd rather just ignore it. And that's what they did. But eventually there came a point where they decided to actually solve the problem instead of having their memory erased again. And that's that judgment, Empress, Kali type energy that we're in right now. And it's like things are just the potato is gonna get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter until you drop it. And then here we have the card of journey. Now the card of journey implies to me that this is not the end destination, that we will proceed beyond this. But the card of journey also has this implication that what was done was necessary. And I don't like saying that. But on the grand scheme of human evolution and history, if we can learn our lesson now to the point where we don't repeat it, we have the opportunity to solve a lot of our problems. But that happens through a space of cooperation instead of a space of competition. I roll my eyes every time because I'm like, I feel like it really didn't have to be this way. I feel like it really didn't have to be this way. But the fact that it was this way now, again, it's like if you're a child, it's better to learn right from wrong when you're a child than it is when you're an adult. Because when you're an adult, you have access to more. You have access to greater things. And so the crimes that you commit have the potential to be greater. Hey, Miss Burnell. The crimes that you commit have the potential to be greater. So it's better to learn the lesson when you're a child. It's better to learn the lesson with a toy than it is when you have the actual thing. And I feel like it's a lot of mental stuff that we just really got to work out. And with the Queen of Cups at the bottom, it's like, Spirit is like, hey, knock, knock. Time for you to see this. Oh, you don't see it yet? Okay, I'll knock harder. You don't see it yet? Okay, I'll knock harder. You don't see it yet? All right, we'll bust down the door and we're going to raid the place. You still don't see it? Girl, she's lost. The Thinking Man at the bottom of the deck now. That's interesting. I do want to do I'm not feeling like quitting yet, so we'll see what else comes out. That was a fairly short one. Maybe it was short because I didn't ramble for like an hour. Oh, sorry. But that's the thing. I was talking to one of my friends about how everything happens for a reason. And even if everything doesn't happen for a reason, we can always create a reason. And when we create reasons, we can turn those lemons into lemonade. We can turn a bad thing into a good thing. we can turn a bad thing into a less bad thing because of what we take away from it. And we can use that to motivate and inspire some positive change. So at the very least, bad things aren't happening for no reason. Bad things aren't happening in vain. And sometimes, especially with free will and with choice being a thing, sometimes choosing the reason is the reason for the choice in the first place. Choosing the effect, choosing the ramifications of the effect to the cause, right? We don't necessarily choose the effect. We don't necessarily always choose the cause, but we do choose how the effect affects us. We choose the outcome of those effects within ourselves. And I'm coming into that space of my life where it's like I'm taking power out of every single situation that does not serve me. And it will serve me. It has no choice but to serve me because I'm moving forward. I ain't going back. There's nothing to go back to. And anything behind me that is worth keeping on to, it will meet me again on my path. It will come in the next chapter. It will come on the next page. It will come in the next sentence. But there's nothing behind me worth going back to. Oh, there's a card. Okay, word. Bottom of the deck is the 10 of Swords. Oof. The Griffin. How you doing, Miss Vernell? Did I ask you? I can't remember. The 10 of Swords, Griffin. Yeah. And I feel like it's so interesting because it is this like wake up call for everyone. It is this collective societal wake up call. But there are also so many wake up calls in our own personal lives where things are just like it's overboiling now. It's overboiling. We didn't take care of it when, the kettle started to whistle. And so now hot water and steam is going everywhere. But, some people like hot tubs. Some people like saunas. Some people are into that. So what did they say about folks lying with the devil? We hope you like heat. Because this is about to get real spicy. But I'm a keep chilling on my wintergreen, my mints over here. I should pop one right now. The bowl. I'm not going to get the bowl. I mean, I'm doing a foot sucking meditation. I need the bowl. There's something so interesting about the throat and the voice. In my meditation class, we did this voice chakra, voice energy thing where we went through the scales, and it's like the traditional Indian scale. So it's sa re ga ma pa da ni instead of do re mi fa sol la ti do. Sa re ga ma pa. And like at first, and like the door was open, and this dude, there was the advanced teacher who was my professor that I saw more in the meditation class than I did in his actual class, but he never said anything. Man holding a heart in reverse, and everything is upright. Everything is upright. Bottom of the deck is this the angel? No, it's second chakra archangel Ariel. Second chakra is coming out. But for some reason, like when I was like Sade got my pod ni, I was feeling it. So I kept doing it louder and louder because I was getting into it. And my friend, he a little sheepish. He a Leo, but he got a lot of Virgo in his chart. A lot of Virgo. But he was like, Pat, you were so loud. I was like, I was getting into it. I was living my life. My center was lining up. I was feeling it. I was into it. I don't know why I'm talking about that. The throat, and because like I've said before, it's like when we're coming from a place of authenticity and when we're speaking our truth, we're exchanging gas with the environment. And it's like it fuels the fire of our truths to continue to speak them. It gets stronger. because it's getting more gas instead of, you know, gassing up these empty hot air balloons. We can actually fuel the fire. So the man holding a heart in reverse. Why did I just hold this up to my webcam when I don't know why. Man holding a heart in reverse got me all the way thrown off. The man holding a heart in reverse. What would that mean? That's almost like a hanged man energy. So let's go looking for the hanged man. Why not? What does the hanged man even look like in this deck? I don't know. But I'm gonna go looking for him. We're gonna see what's before and after the hangman. And I'm this close because it's kind of dark in this room. Oh wait, there we go. Who did? Sorry. Here we go. Exactly, Miss Vernell. Exactly. The truth works wonders. I mean, you may have to worry about some potential hostilities from other people when you begin to speak your truth. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I've reached that point in my life where I'm like, I don't necessarily care who walks out of my life right now, because whoever walks out of my life right now honestly wasn't meant to be in it. And I'm not muting. I'm not going back. I'm not slowing down. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Truth feels good. It does. Sorry, but it does. It really does. I was silent for too long. 9 of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. This is that selfish energy. This is why we got this hangman. And the hangman is a djinn, ain't it? No, it's an imp. The hangman is an imp. Imps are kind of small, but when they sort of amass in numbers, that's when they really become a headache. And the hangman speaks, I guess in this deck, it speaks to all of those little things that we've been letting slide. We let this slide, we let that slide, and it's reaching the point again where the kettle is boiling over. Let's see what you say. I know you won't just separate yourself until they realize the truth. If they won't come back. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and it's maybe we'll do this type thing where we like go our separate ways and then we come back together at some point, like a diamond or something. I don't know, like a womb. But I don't know. I don't want to say I can't be bothered, but I don't know. It's just time to release all that. And I have a trusting and a knowing and a faith that what is mine, not mine. I don't like saying what is mine. What is meant for me will find its way back. Like you said, what is meant for me will find its way back. And I don't have to be overly worried or concerned about it because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm still discovering what the path before me will be. Right? And I know that it'll all work out in the end exactly how it's supposed to. But we got the Knight of, so we got these little things that kind of sort of build up over time that create larger problems with this imp energy. We have the man holding a heart in reverse. Like I said, that Knight of Swords ain't have no head, ain't have no heart. Here's the fact that he didn't have no heart. If you like Patrick, the pumpkin head is just the head. The heart is in the body, and he still got a body. Well, holding the heart in reverse. He ain't got no heart. Ain't got no mind, ain't got no heart. Can't think for himself, can't do nothing for himself. besides fulfill those carnal-based desires. And then here we have the Knight of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles. It's an extremely selfish energy, and it goes after what it wants. It doesn't care who it affects or how it affects them, as long as it is satisfied at the end of the day. And this is coming right off. That's coming right after that Knight of Swords, King of Swords. It's these mental thought patterns that have kind of sort of seeped its way into all of us, more or less. And it's not pretty, it's not cute, it's not great, but it is what it is at some point. And that's something that we all have to break within ourselves. And again, that's why that vulnerability and that's why that openness is so important. Because it's like the way we go about things determines the things that we get. And there are certain things that cannot be taken. And so taking energy will never be satisfied. And it is never satisfied. That's another thing about it. It's very gluttonous and envious at the same time. And then it gets into wrath. It gets into pride. It gets into all of that. The card that came out, believe it or not, is the Sun. I like the message of the Sun. And I'm glad I got all of this before I read the Sun, because this is the rebirth from the ashes. And since this is the rebirth, y'all know we got to go looking for the Death card. I don't think I saw it on my way, so I'm going to go from the bottom. Wheel of Fortune and Temperance are at the top of the deck. Wheel of Fortune and Temperance. This is South Node and Sagittarius energy. Wheel of Fortune and Temperance. It is. It's a time for action, not a time for waiting, but, you know. Oh, then here's Death. This is the card I wanted to go looking for. Ooh, that's interesting. I knew it was at the top because I didn't see it, even though I wasn't fully looking. So what's coming out to clarify the Sun card is the Six of Cups. No, the Five of Swords. Oh, okay, here's the Six of Cups. So it's the Five of Swords. This is that mental anguish. This is that back and forth. This is the mental deprogramming and reprogramming. Here's the Death transformation. And then here's the Six of Cups moving forward. Now, the Six of Cups is Jenny Greenteeth. And I read that Jenny Greenteeth like drowned children. And so maybe while our inner child was drowning, it developed gills. Our inner child developed gills because the world drowned it. And it's almost like our inner child holds the key to navigating through our emotions. And without doing that work, but it's like, if you want to meet your inner child, you're going to have to meet it where it is. And I mean, like I said, Jenny Greenteeth drowns children. Six of Cups is Scorpio energy. It's a deep dive. And it's going to be one of the only ways out of the situation. And it is what it is. And it's been so interesting in my own personal life how so many things have been coming to a space of resolution. And it's required honesty. And there have been difficult conversations on both sides. And if we're too far into this Nine of Pentacles energy, where it was the Nine of Wands. That's what the pumpkin head was, the Nine of Wands. And then we went into the Knight of Pentacles. And that was about us, you know, standing, holding fast to things that honestly aren't that great. But if you're open and willing, and if you're ready to put stuff in the past, sometimes you'll be met. And you can get those deep resolutions. But you have to wade through the deep to get out of the deep, right? So that's this. I feel like that was a little bit of a carry on from the last one. It's time to reconnect to the hearts, and to reconnect to the heart, we gotta go looking for it. We gotta find it. A heavy heart sinks to the bottom of that ocean of emotion. Didn't you know? And everything is amplified right now. So all I can do is continue to express gratitude and thanks to God, Spirit, the universe for presenting me the obstacles that it presented me, and to give thanks to myself, be proud of myself for rising to the occasion. And like I said in that thing I shared, it's not going to be chance. It's going to be something that I've earned because I'm in a space of preparation for it. Just don't know what we're preparing for when we're being asked to make those preparations. We don't know what catastrophes and disasters we are being set on a path to avoid when we get those calls. But if you don't answer the call, you might find out exactly what it was that you could have completely bypassed. And again, the way we correct for the past is by moving forward in a different way in the future. You can't go back in the past. Everything that's happened has already happened. Ain't no changing it. And it's not to be changed. It's to be learned from. That's the point. So that we can consciously evolve into these beings that make decisions and choices and that live in ways that are more conscious and cognizant of the fact that we don't exist in a bubble, that we don't live on islands, or that we aren't islands and we don't live in isolation, that everything that we do has an impact and everything ripples out into the world around us. And we can't continue to be these selfish, self-absorbed creatures that just don't care. I don't think that would be supported. And there's so much support right now in like getting people to handle the things that they need to handle and moving forward into that space that you want to move into. Like all of that energy is here. Jupiter goes direct today. I'm going to have to watch those retrograde readings. I've been on live for a lot longer than I thought. I was supposed to be getting some work done today. But also I'm learning to, I also serve the collective in a general sense. At least for now. And then whenever I feel like it, or whenever I get the pricing figured out, or I know how I'm going to do that, then I'll start to answer like personal questions again. But until that moment, we all know what it is that we need in this moment. We all know. Whether you choose to forget or not is up to you. The Garden and the Gate. This is another card I've been seeing a lot lately. The Garden and the Gate is all about leaving your comfort zone to discover the world that exists outside. That's where everything is. And you can always come back to the gate, or you can always come back to the garden. You have the key, but you can't live your whole life in a garden. And I feel like a lot of people have been trying to live their whole lives in gardens. Some of those gardens are on fire now, and they're so accustomed to garden living, they don't know how they're going to survive outside the garden. Or they've lost the key, or the lock to the gate has rusted, so the key doesn't even fit anymore. Or the key has rusted, so it doesn't work in the gate anymore. And it's like, there are places in the US with orange skies right now. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. Who did? Okay, that's a lot. Can I get like one or two cards? Can I get one more card, please? Oh, another one in reverse. Who is that? Is that Raphael? Is this walking away? Walking away at the bottom of the deck. Walking away is number 27. 27 is a 9. That is, what is 7? 7 is a number, numerologically, it's a spiritual number. It's a spiritual path. And then the 2 is the duality. So it's about kind of sort of, again, it's about seeing those reasons why things are the way they are. And with the spiritual understanding, making a choice to move forward in a direction that gets you out of the world that you don't want to be in and into the one that you do. Who is this? Second chakra, Archangel Ariel. She right there again behind walking away. This could be walking away from any of those sort of personal traumas. And walking away from trauma is easier said than done, I know. But it's about finding a way. The card that came out in reverse is 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel. It's Gabriel. That's the throat. That's not speaking. And then we got Metatron right here again. 6th chakra, Archangel Metatron upright with Gabriel in reverse. It's like, ain't no wonder why we ain't been seeing some of the things, because we ain't speaking to it. We're not growing it. We're not feeding it. It's like, just like a plant, it survives off of like carbon dioxide, and then it turns carbon dioxide into sugar and and oxygen. And it gets that we can breathe. It's this exchange. Again, it's an exchange of gases between us and the environment. We're not feeding the things that we want to grow with our words, with our thoughts, with the air from our lungs. And how do we expect for it to grow? How do we expect to breathe if we cut down all the trees? That's why they were placed on this earth with us. And it's like nature has a way of compensating for itself. Nature has a way of ensuring that all of its bases are covered. But when we come in and we start effing with the environment and we start creating these things that don't give back to nature, that's when we mess up the balance. And that's when nature got to come in and reshape that balance. So, and again, it's almost like it's not a third eye issue, because whatever you're perceiving is what you're putting out into the world. Ain't nothing wrong with the third eye. It is what it is. But it's speaking that truth. It's being an active participant in that conversation that is giving us the outcome that we see. And then here's the Sphinx, the Emperor at the bottom of the deck. Oh, this divine masculine energy is quite the riddle, isn't it? Giving so many folks so many headaches and so many worries and so many troubles. Oh, here's the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune with the 5 of Cups, the Mermaid. Now, in my mind, the Inquisitor and the Mermaid. The Mermaid is also the Siren. So she will look all hot. She'll look all gorgeous, very enticing and appealing to the eye on that rock. She will sing that song that ensnares your eardrums, and then she will drown you, girl. And they do it for fun. They do it for funsies. Apparently, according to some mythos, they do it for fun. They prey on, the sailors that have been out to sea and haven't known a woman's touch for a minute. And then here come the sea women, and they just fall into it. The sea men fall into the water. You get drowned by the sea women. And with this walking away energy, it's about walking away from the snares and the traps of the past. It's about, again, it's about coming into a space where we're not ruled by our base and carnal desires. Because as long as we're ruled by our base and carnal desires, we can be convinced of a lot of things, and we will play right into it because we don't care what happens to other people as long as we get our fix. As long as we are sitting pretty and comfortable at the end of the day, we don't care how that comfort comes to us, a lot of folks. And a lot of that is being disrupted right now. So, I think that's where I'm going to end this. Because my feet have been in the water for quite long enough. And I need to start my day. And I feel like this is just, there's a reason why everything is happening. Find the reason that best suits your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth, and that will lead to the most peace. And sometimes to create peace, we have to, at the very least, face what it is that we've been running from. Because as long as you're running, you'll never find peace because you'll always be running. At a certain point, you're going to have to stand your ground. Make sure you put roots in a space that's going to survive, because the land will be purged. And if you put roots in an area that's about to get burned up, then you'll be burned up. And I feel like a lot of us have established roots, and this is an opportunity to pick up our roots and to be these ints, these mobile fortresses, these trees. It's very no, that wasn't Hamlet. Macbeth. It's very Macbeth. When it was prophesied, Macbeth went to these witches and they gave him prophecies. Like they told him that he would be the ruler of, I don't think it was Denmark. I think Denmark was Hamlet. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Over a decade ago was Macbeth. But he got a prophecy that he would be the king. But there already was a king, and his wife convinced him to kill the king and to usurp that throne. And she was playing this, this character that was like heartless, and she didn't care. She wasn't affected by it. But then we saw her mental breakdown. We saw her waking up in the middle of the night having them nightmares washing her hands, trying to get the blood off of her hands that would never come off of her hands because that life has already been taken and you can't untake a life. Y'all hear my mom? And so it's like she played this character in her waking life of being unaffected by the decisions that she made, but she was, and she may not have even necessarily fully consciously known that she was affected as much as she was, because again, it all happened at night. It was all nightmares. You wake up from a nightmare, sometimes you forget, but your conscious doesn't forget, your heart doesn't forget, your mind doesn't forget, your subconscious mind doesn't, your conscious mind will. Because again, it's all about, it's that like, make this make sense to me energy. That's what the Knight of Swords was. He was like, make this make sense to me. And there are a lot of ways to make things make sense. Some of them less legitimate than others, but if you already want it to make sense, if you're already invested in the game, then hey, it ain't gonna be that hard to convince you. That's confirmation bias all day long. And then Hamlet also got, or Macbeth also got the prophecy that he would never be killed by a man that was woman born. And he's like, well, everyone's born from a woman, so I'm not going to die. There was another spot of another place of the prophecy that talked about when the forest moves or when the trees move or something like that. And he was like, the trees will never move. They're rooted to the ground. That'll never happen. So I'll be fine. But what happened was, I can't remember his name. If you haven't read or watched, oop, I just hit the camera with the mallet. If you haven't read or watched Macbeth, then you probably would have already clicked off. But spoiler warning. So the dude and his army, they disguised themselves as trees, and so the forest did move. And then the man that killed Macbeth, he didn't have a natural birth. He was like a C-section baby, right? And Macbeth was like, this is impossible. The witches told me that I wouldn't be killed by woman born. And then he was like, I'm not from woman born. I was from woman ripped. And that was the end of Macbeth. You can choose to see either side of the oracle. You can choose to see either side of the prophecy. But what you should hold on to is your heart and your spirit and your integrity. Because that Page of Swords, that Headless Horseman, that make this make sense to me energy, that like, I just need a reason to do what I was going to do anyway. I don't even necessarily too much care. Just give me the go ahead and I'll go in and I'll wipe out everything and everybody. It's like, okay. I don't know what this is for, but everything that I'm talking about, we just going to release all of it. And then I'll pull some final messages to wrap this all up. I can feel my hand vibrate. Oh, crap. I think that's it. I lost it. I'm going to do one more though. Oh, wait. I need to figure out if like clockwise is a release or if counterclockwise is a release. I think this will be the release, and then this will be the not release. So let's release this. Come on. All right, one more. I'm sorry. Third time's the charm, right? I think it's gone. I'm just playing with it now. It's like, boy, if you don't shut this down and get done what you need to get done. Okay. I can feel myself getting cooler already. The heat was building up a little bit, but hey. Ooh, I feel that in my heart. I feel it in my heart. All the lights blinking in and out on YouTube today. Oh, snap. I know that, I mean, as far as like what people are talking about today, Jupiter goes direct. Maybe folks is talking about that. Maybe, I don't know. That's interesting. As long as my camera's still working. Let's wrap this up. I think I want to get the Energy Oracle card first. I'll get it first. The man holding the heart, he's up right now with the world. See, I told y'all the world is going to be fine. We'll be all right. Or those of us who get it, we'll be all right. I can't be concerned or worried about people who keep running the same tracks and running the same circles. I can't. Like I could, but it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of a lot of stuff. And I'm trying to be less wasteful now. You know? Trying to be more conscious and cognizant with my energy. And it's like I do care, but at the same time, it's like it's just that space where we have to do whatever we got to do for ourselves. And there's no amount of concern that's going to help. Because at the end of the day, we're all responsible for ourselves, and we all got to make those decisions, and we all got to step through those doors on our own. No one else can take us through a portal. No one else can take us to brighter days, right? Especially if you are like an independent person. Oh, is this the door to value or the door to romance? What door is this? It's the door to value. Of course, it's the door to value. Bottom of the deck, the man holding a heart upright. Maybe we're starting to actually value the things in life that hold actual tangible, not tangible, but we're starting to value the things that actually matter. And there are so many things that will tie up the heart, that will suffocate the heart, that don't matter. Right? I feel like Miranda Priestley when she was like, why is no one ready? I'm sorry, I don't. But like I said, I'm still continuing to learn and grow and evolve and change in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. And I mean, honestly, from this point, it's exponential. I'm just beginning because there were a lot of patterns that I had that didn't serve me or anyone. A lot of ways I held myself back. A lot of ways I minimized myself, and procrastination was huge for me. And now that I'm about to take off, things are already moving. The universe is already providing me literally everything that I've been asking for, everything that I've been wanting, but I haven't asked directly enough for. Whenever my request wasn't understood, I would just be like, oh, okay, thank you. And I would walk away instead of being like, actually, like, I'm asking for this. Actually, like, you're not hearing me. But now in the space that I'm in now, it's like the world is listening. The universe, it hears me and it is answering. And it's like quite literally giving me exactly what I was looking for. And I didn't even have to go into all of the detail this time. I just had to use my voice and to stand in it. And then I get connected to this person and she's like, oh, we do this, 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 and that. I'm like, that is exact. I've been asking for literally years for this exact thing. But instead of standing in what I was asking for, I would just walk away unfulfilled. Because folks weren't listening. I'm like, you're not listening to me. But as soon as I choose to be direct, as soon as I'm ready to move, that exact door opens. I'm like, oh my gosh, at no cost to me. Everything is there, just waiting for us to be in a position to claim it. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords, the Giant. Be careful what beanstalks y'all go climbing up, and be careful of how y'all treat the property and the people up them beanstalks, because you may find somebody ain't as tolerant to your little petty foolish games, Jack, as the people that you used to. But now we have the Lovers coming up with the King of Swords. Now this is giving me the energy of someone who was made pariah, someone who was made outcast, someone who was cast out of his kingdom and banned from ever coming back. And he spent his time out in the wilderness. Maybe he was a child when it happened. Maybe he inherited something. It's kind of sort of like that uncle kills the king, usurps the throne, casts out the legitimate heir, right? He was going to have the crown prince or the heir to the throne killed, but there was someone who was still loyal to the true rulers of this land. And instead of having them killed, they had them raised somewhere far away. They forget about their birthright. One day, it's time to go back. This Viking is the king who has been, and it's interesting because it's almost like before he comes back to claim his throne physically, he's already claimed it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. He's already embodying that energy before the seat, before what validates him to the rest of the world. He's already claimed it because he already knows that it's his. And he's coming back to take it, and there's nothing that this uncle can do. And the uncle will try, and he will fail. Right? And it's like I said here, be careful what beanstalk you go climbing up. Because maybe you could get his father. Because his father, I mean, you were his father's brother. But you're not going to get him. Because of what you did to him, he's going to turn into this giant. And he's going to come back for his throne. And that's like, we don't really think about the repercussions when we make certain choices and when we make certain decisions. We don't think about how it's going to work out in the end game. We don't think that we're going to have to sort of reap what it is that we've paid out. Or, yeah, we don't think we're going to have to reap it. And that's the thing I say, like, the energy that you put out is going to be the energy that you get back. And so if you go about getting something in shady or unscrupulous ways, then you best believe that, yeah, you might get it, but how long are you going to get it? And at what price? Because you're going to have to pay it back. And the King of Swords and the Lovers, it's coming back for the birthright. It's been made into this warrior king. So now we're going to give it a few dings in the opposite direction. That was what we released. This is what we're going to be grounding back into this space. Or whatever. That's how it's coming to me right now, at least. And there goes my ear. Did y'all see how smooth that was? Did y'all hear how that resonated? That energy is ready to come in. It's ready to come in. The throne, the people, the kingdom, the land that it's built on itself is crying for the return of the true sovereigns. And they're on their way, apparently, or whatever. So that's all I got for you in this weekly release. Each of these are kind of sort of different-ish. Sometimes I timestamp it. I might tonight go back through and timestamp and put it in the description box because the first one I rambled for so long. But yeah, there is no real like sort of format to these, and I didn't even end up using this deck, so which is fine because this is supposed to be a private use deck anyway. But I will catch y'all later. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you are speaking. I hope you are acting. I hope you are aligning. to the timeline that puts you in the best possible position. And I know that things get hard, but when you turn lemons into lemonade, it makes it so much sweeter. Because it's like, okay, now that I've made this happen, I can change the way that I feel about all of that, because now it is something that served to put me in the position to reclaim what is mine. But if you never reach that, then it's just kind of sort of bad stuff happening for whatever reason that bad things happen. Right. And then some people be like, why do bad things happen to good people? It's like, well, are you good people? Sorry. I'm sorry.